Hello, I'm Mindy. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my wrap up for the first half of May, which is also my Asian Readathon wrap up. The Asian Readathon goes all through the month of May, but I wanted to finish my reading by the 15th so that I could move on to the rest of my tiny book TBR. I managed to finish all 5 books from my TBR by the 17th of May, and I also started watching Little Fires Everywhere TV show for the watch along on the 15th, and I pretty much binged it all right away and finished it on the 17th. So now I can tell you what I thought of all my reads for the readathon. And I can tell you that it went really, really well. Everything that I read and watched was either 4 or 5 stars for me. The first book that I finished was The Vegetarian by Han Kang. This is a literary fiction novel from a South Korean author, and it was translated from the Korean by Deborah Smith. This book followed a woman who has a terrible dream and decides to become a vegetarian, and her family members who take it really awfully. This book has multiple perspectives. First, the story is told from her husband's point of view, and then her sister's husband point of view, and then her sister's point of view. This is an interesting book because there wasn't really one single likable character in the entire book. They were all kind of awful, but I really love this story nonetheless, and it actually surprised me all of the issues that it touches upon. I gave this book 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. Compared to the other 5 stars that I read for this readathon, this one is not quite that high, so I don't know if this maybe should have been 4.5 stars. I think it is, but I think I'm still okay with rounding it up to 5 stars. The next book that I finished was The Enchanted by Renee Denfeld. I read this as a recommendation, and this is a literary fiction novel taking place in a prison on death row, and we mostly see from the perspective of an inmate on death row, and we learn his story. There's also a lawyer that's working with him trying to reverse his death sentence, and she's investigating his case and trying to find something that could get him off of death row. And we also learn about the warden of the prison and the prison priest. He's a fallen priest, but he still prays with the people on death row and gives them their last rites, that sort of thing. There was a few magical realism type elements in this book that were absolutely fantastic, and this was a really beautifully written story that was very engaging, and I think it is a new favorite of mine. 5 stars all the way. The next book I finished is also 5 stars, and that is Revenge by Yoko Gawa. This is a collection of short stories that are very, very dark. I would say this could count as horror, especially in some places. It is real world type situations that actually could happen. Um, but some of them are really, really disturbing. All of the stories were disturbing, but each story seemed to build in the disturbingness. I also love what she did in these stories. She connected each story with a little thread that connects one to the next, so you can tell this is in the same world and they're all kind of connected, but they are all very different stories. I think this was a brilliant work of literature, and it's also a new favorite that I will definitely be reading again in the future. I also finished Kitchen by Banana Yoshimoto. When I opened this up to read it, I realized somebody wrote a little note. I got it used. It says, "I wish I named you Banana. Love, Mom." Ha! That made me laugh. Love it. Very beautiful short novella about grief and found family. And it also had a transgender character. I don't know if it was good representation, but I've never heard anyone say that it's bad. It was a really beautiful story. And there's also this second story in here, short, even shorter. Maybe it's a novella still, but maybe a really long short story. Moonlight Shadow. And I actually like that one even more. There's a little magical element to that one. That was really interesting. They both deal with grief, and they both have beautiful friendships and relationships in them. And yes, I gave this book 4 stars. Really, really great stories, just not quite as love territory as these ones. The last book that I read for the Asian Readathon is Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. This was also the read-along book. This is a thriller. I would say this is a domestic thriller, but way different than any domestic thriller I've ever read. It is like a suburban, large family, multiple family thriller. I don't know. It was a little slow to start off with. The first chapter really grabbed my interest, and then it took a while for me to get back into it after that. It seemed a little bit too normal, just a suburban family, just kind of everyday type thing, but then things really start to get crazy as we go on. More and more issues and interesting dynamics and dilemmas and juicy things going on with these characters. I also watched the TV show Little Fires Everywhere on Hulu, which stars Reese Witherspoon, Joshua Jackson, Kerry Washington. The cast was amazing, the acting very well done. I had a similar feeling where the first episode or two were not my favorite, but then it really takes off and gets super interesting. The TV show, I noticed, really amped up the race and sexuality issues, whereas the book, I thought, focused more on some on race, but mostly on class and also parental rights, which were big themes in the TV show as well, but they added a lot to the TV show that was not in the book, that added to the drama and tension. So that is what I read and watched for the Asian Readathon, and I'll be back the end of the month to tell you about everything else that I read in May. There's gonna be a lot. If you like this video, you can hit like and subscribe, and I'll be back very soon with another book-related video. Thanks. Bye.